Well, hey there, Jeep fans, flat fender fanatics, convoy crazies, jerry can junkies, and Willys wackos. Johnny here, coming at you from sunny and sticky central Pennsylvania. It's a close one today, buddy. So, we're not going on a Jeep adventure today, but hanging out at the hacienda here. I'm gonna do a little work on the old Hobart. Look at that beaut. So this is one of my many projects, and I felt like doing a video on it today. Behind me is an old aluminum crest liner. That's one of the other projects. I want to put a, see this here? I want to put a jet drive in that. I think that'd be pretty cool. The only problem is I've got to cut a hole in the bottom of the boat. So that one's still in the pipeline. I don't quite know what I'm going to do over there, but that's the background for you. Here's the Hobart. This is a GPB 261 mainliner. They made two different models, I guess, back in the day, the mainliner and the pipeliner. And off the top of my head, I forget what the difference between the two is. But so this is it. These has the gull wing doors, closes everything up. You can lock it, and has a lifting lug there that I don't have. It's up in the barn. But lifting lug so you can lift it and do whatever you want. I got this sucker. It's been about it's been about 5 or 6 years now. $400 I got this thing. And inside, under the hood, we have a 250 amp DC generator, welding generator. It's 60% at 250 amps, which means that's your duty cycle. That's out of the way they do that is out of 10 minutes. That's the amount of time that you can run that particular welding machine at that particular current. So if I have this thing set at 250 amps, I can run it for 6 minutes out of 10, or 60% of the 10 minutes, until you have to, and then you let it cool for the remaining amount of 10 minutes. That's the standard. Of course, you can run this, and most welders that are rated at a specific amperage, you can run them over that amperage, but then they call it the duty cycle curve. It's a linear curve. You just can't run it for 60%. It's so, like at 300 amps, this might be a 30% duty cycle, or 20% at 300 amps, wound out, whatever your welding machine is. Every welding machine has a duty cycle curve. And adding on to that, every welding machine is 100% duty cycle at some amperage. It originally had the Carter WO on it, as seen on many flathead Willys Jeeps. And that carburetor just wasn't working for me. Just wasn't working, and I had to rebuild it like 2 or 3 times a year, because this machine doesn't get run constantly. So there's a lot of talk about putting straight gasoline in it, running straight gas. They need straight gas. They can't run ethanol because the bowls are pot metal. The whole carburetor is pretty much pot metal. And the ethanol fuel goes out of phase, so it separates the water. The moisture in the air gets attracted to the ethanol in the fuel, and the fuel itself goes out of phase, so it separates. And then you end up with the water in the bottom of the bowl. It wrecks the jets, it clogs up, it gunks up the whole carburetor. Then you end up having to rebuild the carburetor anytime you let it sit for any period of time. So then they recommend, well, you just run your bowl empty. Yeah, run straight gas, etc., etc. I'm not a big fan of that. So this is a 1936, I'll get down here where you can see. This is a 1936 Carter W1, right, W1. And this came off of a 36 Chevy. This was an old family friend's carburetor. It had been sitting out in the weather for about 3 or 4 years, in the rain and the snow and the wet and the ice. And I tore it down and rebuilt it. Made this custom carburetor, this Bubba adapter here, to mount this carburetor on the original intake. It fires up, runs great. Well, you know, I was trying to decide whether I wanted to run it for you first. No. What we're doing today is I'm changing the main jet and the metering rod out because I just can't get this thing lean enough to go vroom vroom. So whenever you strike an arc, I'll get into this in a little bit. Whenever you strike an arc, the machine dumps this idle control, and the governor takes over and pulls it up to 1800, which is the welding speed on this particular welding machine. So I need that carburetor to go vroom vroom. Like as soon as you hit it, it needs to go vroom. And it's not doing that yet. I got a big bog in there. So what I want to do, I've been trying different things, making adjustments. What we're doing today is I'm going to take the bowl cover off, take the carburetor off, and I'm going to put the WO, so the 4-cylinder main jet and metering rod in this carburetor. Since they're both Carters, they're both similar in years. It looks like, when I had this one apart, it looked like I could put a WO main jet and metering rod in this carburetor. So that's what we're going to try. All right. So I kind of really enjoy working on this. I'm just going to take this off wholesale. I really enjoy working on this machine because I can just sit on the tire and work on this engine here. Now you watch, I'm going to drop I'm going to drop all kinds of screws and stuff because I'm doing this one-handed. It has to be. It's just the way it is. Now if I get this switched over, I'm going to at least run this machine today for you guys, so you can hear it. All right, here's the choke cable. Get that out of the road there. 7/16. Crack this fuel line. Should throw a rag down there. Hell with it. I'll just try to put this up in the air so I don't lose all the fuel in it. All right, now I need a couple 9/16. Take those bolts loose. And then this whole carb will come right off of here. Well, that was fast, wasn't it? And it won't be this fast when I get the linkage made up for this. I got to make custom linkage for this governor over, and then this vacuum idle control over to the carburetor. I welded this little tab on the, I didn't want to modify this original throttle linkage here, so I just welded this little tab on here, tagged it on here, and I'll make a cross-shaped piece that will bolt here and here. So it'll be cross, and then it'll have two little thingies here where the balls for these swivel ends, this ball, and then the ball for that link will go over here. So the idle control will try to pull it this way, closed. The governor will try to open it up to 1800. If you're following along, if I'm not being too confusing. I might need 2 hands for this one. Nope. All right, there's one. Put the wrench down. And the other. And we'll pull this out of here and I'll give you a better look at the top of this carburetor and what the heck we're doing here. It's kind of nice how I made that adapter. You can just take those bolts out so quickly. All right, so here it comes. And there we are, down in there. All right, we got our Carter W1. You can see it looks very similar to the WO you see on a lot of Willys engines. And that's, like I said, that's what came on this, but it's just not working out for me. So we're going to take these 2 screws off the bowl cover, and we're going to get in there. Well, I'm going to unhook the accelerator pump. I'll just leave that alone where it is. And well, we'll work out here. Okay. Cool thing about this carburetor, I got parts in here. Just dump those out. There's the jet and the metering rod I want to put in this. Neat thing about these is you can take this cover, which goes up here, set the bottom of the bowl on that, and then you have a stable work platform. It's kind of self-leveling. Okay. This and this. Okay. This little clip here on the accelerator link. That darn thing, I dropped it yesterday and I had a heck of a time finding it. I brought my magnet out. I was looking all over for it. Thought it fell on the ground. Turns out it fell down onto the head and was down into one of the spark plug recesses for the spark plug. So I was happy about that. I didn't lose it. Come on out of there. Okay. And this one. All right. I can't believe I'm doing this whole job one-handed on screen. That's cool. Hope this isn't too boring for you. This should be a pretty quick job. We shouldn't be screwing around with this too long. Unless the jet and metering rod aren't going to work, in which case I'll have to kind of need a new lock washer there. In which case we'll have to pack this video up for the day and make some parts. Put this on a tripod, but I just want to get this done. Okay, so there's that. There's a clip I found yesterday. Okay, so now we can take this, should be able to take this float bowl, bada boom. There we are. Now, when you take a float bowl, when you take a float cover off, don't turn it sideways. Always turn it up like this, because that pin is loose. So we'll just flip it right upside down and we'll set it gingerly like that. Now, we got some fuel in the bowl there still. So I'm gonna dump that back into the fuel tank and then we'll screw that jet out. Okay? And that's where we are. So we got the jet out. That was easy peasy. They appear to be the same exact construction. So here we are. This is the WO for the 4-cylinder, W1 for the 6-cylinder Chevy. Jets are very similar, except look at that hole in there. That's a big jet. And then compared to your 4-cylinder. The metering rods are profiled a little differently too. This one, the 4-cylinder, it comes in a lot faster than this one. This one has a slight taper too down to your wide open. So the metering rod and jet combination, it might not work, but I'm going to put it in and try it anyways, and we'll just see where we are. This one here has a little fiber washer on it, and that's original. I don't think that is that going to come off of there. I have one in the kit. Maybe I'll put one under this jet. This is original, so that means that it's supposed to have a fiber washer under that jet. So we'll do that with the new one too. Okay? All right, let's get to it because I want to run this before work. All right, real quick, and then we're going to get back to it. This is the Omix ADA 17705.04. This is a master rebuild kit for the Willys carburetor, the Carter WO. This is one of the 3 bags that comes in the kit. It's the master kit for those carburetors, and I'm telling you, it has everything in this kit. You could take a completely junk carburetor and just completely rebuild it. It's great. It's well worth the money. When I bought it, I feel like that was like 30 bucks. So I mean, that's not too bad, huh? Even I can afford that. So let's see if we can get this in here. Okay, we'll just cameraman. Get that in there like so. I'm just gonna get this gasket out of the way so I don't ruin it. Get that in there with my butterfingers. I have another name for butterfingers, but it's less family friendly. Let's see if I can get my screwdriver on that to get it turned the right way and started. Get in there, you terrorist. That was being a little stinker trying to get in there. Being a little pain. You know what figures is that this happens when you're in a hurry, and what I need to teach myself is to just take a deep breath and be patient, because they are the same thread, so that's going to go in there. That first thread profile on this jet's a little different, so it's going to be much more difficult to start it. I'm going to have to get it like in there straight. Oh man, I look like a clown right now. Like, have you ever put a jet in before? Stupid. Okay, so I was having a little trouble with that, this new jet. Trying to get the darn thing started, I just kept having problems with it, and what it turned out to be was, contrary to what you might think, not user error. It was a machining error. That first thread on that jet was just a little wonky. I should really be using, you should be using a bigger screwdriver than this when you're putting your, I'm just gonna go get one. Just set a good example. I don't like muffing up those. No. I have one just for doing that. Just for that main jet. I had a thicker one. You know, you need like 4 or 5 different screwdrivers to take one of those carburetors apart correctly. Now, that's the biggest one I have, so that's what we're gonna... Nope, I lied. Here it is. Anyways, you need like a bunch of screwdrivers to take one of those carburetors apart. See how that fits that jet much better? That's what you should be doing. Okay, so we got our jet in. Now we can start putting this stupid thing back together. Okie dokie. All right. So we're getting her back on here. Getting everything all hooked up, and 7/16. Like I say, I'm not 100% convinced that this jet change is gonna, it might be too much. It might not fix it. So that's where we are. Right in the hole first time. Now, some of you sharper watchers might notice that I'm missing the spring that goes on that metering rod, and you're absolutely right, I am. I have to order that because it's not the same as the other. It's not the same as the other carburetor. It's a little different. So I have to order that or make one. And well, the metering rod hasn't fallen off yet, so we'll get to that. Another spring I have to order is this choke butterfly spring. And if you look in here, I'll show you. There's a spring that connects those two halves of butterfly together. And then when the engine starts, it can pull that choke half off. The vacuum from the engine can pull the choke off itself. So for now, I only have a half choke. But, you know, we're getting there. I'll get those springs and, yeah, the choke's off. I'll get those springs and we'll get her all dialed in. This is just part of the process, right? All right, see if this choke operates this choke right. Yeah, buddy. And that's that. Fuel's hooked up, that's hooked up. Turn the fuel on here. Do I have anything in it? Oh yeah, there's quite a bit of gas in it. This is not the original fuel tank either. It was all rusted in the bottom. Holy cow, I had to put 2 filters on it. It was so much sediment and rust and stuff in the bottom of that tank. I finally decided to just tear it out of there and put this galvanized tank. It's much smaller, but it'll work. I just have to get it mounted correctly. Now, since this machine, children, cover your ears. This is the oil burning bitch. So, since it is an oil burner, I absolutely must check the oil before any time I run it. Yeah, 2 days ago it was almost full. Oh, you're probably out there, Johnny, what the hell is the matter with you? Just rebuild that old piece of junk. Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. Like I say, you avid followers of mine, followers, I never thought I'd even have followers. You followers out there, you know I'm not made of money. So, I mean, to spend $800 on a rebuild kit on a machine that I don't even know, is it gonna run, or is it just, I might as well just take $800 and throw it up into the sky and just watch it disappear. So, it's in the works. Yes, I want to rebuild it. I want to paint it. I mean, I want to restore this machine and use it. That's the plan anyway. So, yeah, we're gonna add a little oil to this. Just set this down, yar. Let's set it on the battery though. Whew. That'd be a good one, wouldn't it? Okay, got some nice Walmart brand straight 30 weight mower oil. I was running 1040 in this for a little while, and my hot idle pressure just completely took a poop. Half a quart. Yeah, that's good enough. So I switched back to 30 weight, which is what it calls for right on the side of the engine. So I should have just listened to the engine, listened to the original manufacturer in the first place. Well, I put 1040 in it because I thought I was going to bump up my oil pressure a little bit with a thicker oil. That might have been the case with a straight 40 weight. But that 1040 just, that was a bad decision on my part. So that's my story. Not afraid to admit it. I'm hooking up the battery terminals right now. And we're going to have another little bit of fun here, because I hand crank start this old 4-cylinder. The starter and all that works, but it works about half. It's just not good enough for me. Okay, so we got our oil in, got the battery hooked up, got my homemade crank. Look at this monster. I didn't want to buy one, couldn't afford one anyway, so I made one. The first one I made didn't work too good. It didn't work too good, and it just came apart. It was just 2 layers of pipe, and yeah, it was not the good setup. So Dad had a piece of 1-inch keyed shaft. So I cut a piece of that and hardened it, tempered it. I cut that. I drilled this and cut those ramps out with a Dremel. Yeah, that was a lot of work, but it turned out well, and it hardened and tempered. So it's not like a full. It's not full hard. It's about as hard as a wrench would be. It's not as hard as like a chisel, you know, because you don't. I didn't want this harder than the cross pin and the crank, because then it's going to wear instead of this. So ideally, I wanted this just a little hair softer, and that's what we have. So we're going to pull on half choke, turn the key on, fuel's on, put oil in it. Always check your oil. We are gonna stick this crank in here. All right, got our crank in the crank. Key's on. Don't leave the key on too long. Get your thumb out of the way. Oh, it almost went. Give it another spin. You know what I did. Here's to you. I forgot that I had that bowl entirely empty. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm gonna close that workout ring today, buddy. I'm gonna get that in there like that. Watch this. Take two. What's this? Wow. That's jacked up. Well, folks, that was one gigantic leap backwards. To keep it running, I'm having to keep my hand. I got a half choke, and I have my hand over the intake to keep the thing running. Watch what happens when I take my hand off. Runs out of fuel. This jet set is too lean, way too lean. So with the other jet set, at least it ran, and it would run on part throttle and it would run on open throttle, but the transition was messed up. So now we got to try something else. We lost our sunshine. It's supposed to storm today. So let's talk about what just transpired here today. So my original carburetor, Willys carburetor, wasn't working out for me. In fact, it was running a lot like the you just saw there. That's pretty much how it was running. So I came across that W1, pretty much fell into my lap. Decided I was going to put it on the welding machine, because I hadn't decided what I was going to do. If I was going to put some kind of, I guess some guys will take like a Chevy EFI, do a conversion on their 4 cylinders. I wanted to do something like that. So the W1 fell into my lap. It's very similar to the WO. I said, well, let's just send it and see what happens. Did that, fired it up. Boy, did that thing run good. I couldn't believe how good it ran. In fact, here's a video from the other day of me running that machine with that carburetor and the old jet and metering rod, which I kind of wanted you guys to see, but jumped the gun there. So here's that. All right, so we got the old oil burning bitch here. We're gonna, well, I shut it down to go get my voltmeter, because I want to check the open circuit voltage here at the hot leads. So we're just gonna turn the key on and take our homemade crank in here, put it in the hole. Put it in the end of the crank. Keys on. Keep your thumb out of the road. Just like that, downtown Brown. there, so I'm gonna have to go down another salon on my accelerator pump. Okay, switch the accelerator pump around to the least aggressive setting. Lost a pin, had to go get lost the clip, had to go get another clip. And we're gonna start back up there. Let's see, and crank in the hole. Keys on. Again. I did turn the key on, right? I think so. We'll see if that made any difference. If not, then I'm going to put a different main jet in it. So it ran pretty good. It just had that, it was rich on idle. The transition, there was a bog in the transition, and it was a little bit rich up on the main jet. So I couldn't dial it out with the accelerator pump. I kept dialing back the accelerator pump. I started out with the most aggressive setting, dialed it back, didn't make much of a difference. The idle jet, the idle mixture screw, didn't make much of a difference on the idle. It was still a little rich. So I said, well, let's try putting a different main jet and metering on it, because I think they're the same as the WO. Had a set in that kit. Today we put that in. It's too far the other way. It's too lean to where it won't run unless my hand's mostly covering the air horn. I can kind of fiddle with it and try to get it up past the transition up onto the main jet, but it's still too lean. And if I take my hand off of that while it's running up, it's on the main jet, it'll lean out and shut off. So what we're gonna do is I'll put the original W1 jet back in it that we had, the clip that you just saw, that jet. We'll put that jet back in it. I'm going to make a custom metering rod similar to the original, but a little bit thicker, just maybe 5 or 10 thousandths thicker. I'll play with a couple of different sizes. Thicker will lean it out, because the metering rod meters the amount of fuel that goes through the main. So a thicker metering rod is going to let less fuel flow through that main jet, and a smaller metering rod will let more fuel flow through the main jet. So the profile's good. Like it has a kind of a complex profile. It's thick, it has a taper, and then it's thin up on main wide open throttle. So I'm going to keep that profile, I think. Well, we're going to try a few different things, and well, we'll make another video out of that. But yeah, so that's where we are. I'm going to keep that transition in that. Now the WO metering rod, I don't know if you guys saw that in the video earlier. It's very simple. It just has two steps, idle and open. Two different diameters. It didn't look like there was a transition there or any kind of taper on the metering rod. So that's where we are. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry we didn't get any better results, man. I was hoping we put that new jet in metering rod in there and the thing was going to run like a rape date, but That's life. That's real life. And then of course, ran out of time. It's gonna thunderstorm and I gotta go to work. So, womp womp womp. Debbie Downer. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you down the road. Drive them Jeeps and you know, stay safe out there. Okay. We'll see you next time. Keep on Jeeping on. Bye.